It was a normal weekend, the kind where nothing big was supposed to happen. Johnson had grabbed his controller and gone over to Jesse's house, excited for a marathon gaming session, maybe some pizza, and a night of laughter. They weren't bothering a soul, just two black kids trying to unwind after a long week. But trouble, as it always does when it smells melanin, came knocking. Three police officers pulled up in their cruiser, stepping out like they were auditioning for the next bad cop reality show. Sunglasses on, even though the sun was dipping. Bellies hanging over their belts. Their boots stomping across Jesse's driveway like they owned the pavement. They didn't even start with a hello. Just sneers, loaded with that fake authority tone. "What are you boys doing here?" one asked, as if video game controllers in their hands were somehow contraband. The boys stayed calm, though you could tell this wasn't their first time being harassed for simply existing. They answered nothing, exchanged a look, and just stood firm. Neighbors started trickling out, curious about the noise. Phones appeared. Whispers rose. "Why are they bothering those boys?" someone muttered. Another shouted, "They didn't do anything." But the officers puffed out their chests, smirking like playground bullies with badges. Their questions got dumber. "Where'd you get those sneakers? Who paid for that TV?" They wanted a reaction. They wanted anger. But Johnson and Jesse just leaned back, calm as stone, letting silence do the heavy lifting. Viewers, if you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Things are about to get messy. The air grew thick, tension hanging heavy like storm clouds about to split. One of the officers, the tallest of the trio, leaned close to Jesse, his breath stinking of cheap coffee and ego. "Boys like you don't belong in neighborhoods like this," he spat, his voice just loud enough for the gathering crowd to hear. The words sliced deeper than any shove could. Johnson's jaw clenched, but he didn't move. He'd been warned by his mom 1,000 times. Don't give them the satisfaction. The second officer, the one with a sunburned neck and a belly fighting his bulletproof vest, grabbed the video game controller from Jesse's hand and tossed it on the ground like it was stolen property. The plastic cracked on impact, the sound sharp and humiliating. Gasps echoed from the neighbors. Jesse's little sister peeked through the doorway, tears pooling in her eyes, that watching her brother treated like dirt for no reason other than his skin, and still the boys stayed silent. Not because they were weak, but because they were smart. Silence was louder than shouting. It made the officers look ridiculous. But humiliation wasn't enough for these men. They wanted to turn the screw. The third cop, the one who had been quiet, finally spoke. Hands against the wall. His smirk widened, knowing he was about to stage his little show in front of the neighborhood. Phones rose higher, recording everything. The crowd wasn't just watching anymore, they were witnesses, and witnesses meant power. If you're still hooked, smash that like and subscribe. Trust me, it only gets wilder from here. The wall was cold against Johnson's palms, his fingertips brushing chipped paint as the officer shoved him harder than necessary. Jesse stood beside him, pressed flat, the humiliation soaking through his skin like oil. The cop with the belly barked orders, puffing his chest like a rooter in cheap uniform, pretending this was about law and order when everyone knew it was about pride and prejudice. "Spread your legs wider," he shouted, as if louder meant more authority. The crowd stirred, muttering, restless. A neighbor whispered, "This is disgusting," and another murmured, "They haven't done anything." Johnson heard it all, each word giving him fuel. The phones aimed like rifles, capturing every second. Somewhere in the crowd, a little boy shouted, "Leave them alone." His mother quickly hushed him, fear in her eyes, but it was too late. The words had landed like a slap across the officers' smug faces. The tall cop leaned in, whispering, just for Johnson, "One wrong move and I'll make sure nobody ever hears from you again." It was the kind of threat designed to break a man, but instead it made Johnson's lips curl into the faintest, most dangerous smirk. He wasn't broken, he was storing every second like ammunition. Jesse's sister had disappeared from the doorway, but not to hide. No, she was racing to grab something, something that would flip this entire scene on its head sooner than anyone expected. And if you're still glued to this madness, make sure you like and subscribe because trust me, you haven't seen nothing yet. Jesse's sister burst back onto the porch, not with trembling hands or tear-streaked cheeks like the cops expected, but holding her laptop wide open. On the screen, the live stream blazed with comments flying faster than bullets. "Racist pigs! We see you. Justice for Johnson and Jesse. The video had already hit thousands of viewers, and donations were pouring in for legal defense before the officers even realized they were starring in the internet's most viral disgrace. The crowd roared when they saw it, phones shooting higher like torches in a rebellion. The short cop stammered, tugging at his vest as if the fabric might shield him from humiliation. The fat one paled under his sunburn, realizing every shove, every sneer, every racist slur was now permanent evidence. Johnson turned his head slightly, finally free to speak, and let his words cut sharper than any blade. Smile for the world, officer. This is your legacy now. The crowd erupted, laughter mixed with fury, chants rising like thunder. Shame! 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 One by one, neighbors stepped forward, no longer afraid, no longer silent. An old white man shouted, "We're sick of this!" A black mother raised her fist. Even teenagers in hoodies were chanting with fire in their eyes. The cops, suddenly smaller than ants, had nowhere to run. Their radios crackled uselessly, backup wasn't coming. Who dare step into this tsunami? And as the flashing lights faded into the distance, the world already knew. The downfall of these racist officers wasn't just coming, it had already begun.